Welcome to Coach Connect Hub. I'm Sam Rafus, and today we get the pleasure of hearing from Tom Gay of Engage Pro. Tom, I say it every time I have somebody present in Coach Connect Hub that I've been waiting for this because I've gotten to know Tom, and he is the master at relationship marketing and how to network and referrals in the way that builds trusted relationships. So Tom, I'm going to leave it with you. Take it away, and I will see you at the end for Q&A.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sam. And I'm going to share my screen. And I want to say, in preparation for our time here today, I did something that everyone should do before they go into a sales presentation or a lunch presentation. And that is, they should take a look at the people who they're going to meet and find out something about them. So I've researched all of you before. Some of you will see connection requests in your alignable in-mail. And so I now know that what I'm about to show you relates to every single one of your businesses, every single one. I'm teaching a program today called Relationship Selling, or the Relationship Selling Solution for coaches. And as you know, I'm the leader of a company called Engage Pro. That's helping people become professional at engaging to turn the connections that they have into relationships and then into results. But as we go through, I'll try to contextualize our conversation to some of your businesses. And today we're going to talk about what do you do to build a sustainable business. Now, in teaching this to you, I've been around the track a few times and been in sales for a long time and trained hundreds and hundreds of people on this process. And so today I'm going to show you what it takes to build a sustainable business, all based on relationship marketing, guide you towards turning that into a success machine. It's not that it's going to become mechanical, but it's going to become repetitive because it just will happen. And at the same time, all you need to do is commit to 10 minutes a day on the best practices, and you'll get extraordinary results. You'll be amazed. And as we said earlier, before we started the recording here, we have another program in a couple of weeks on the 3 simple steps to get massive results from networking. So if you look ahead at getting results from networking and then bring what we're learning today into the experience of what you get from networking, you're going to see there's a process. Things flow together, things are linked, and that linkage is always going to take you to better achieving your goals. For myself, as I said, I've been around a while, serial entrepreneur, founder of Refer.com, numerous awards teaching people how to get business growth by going back to the fundamentals of building trusted relationships. And the tools that I'm going to show you today have been used all across different cultures, different companies, different industries. And I know we're working in the coaching world in this setting here today. Well, the truth of the matter is I've trained hundreds and hundreds of coaches, and exactly what you're going to learn today has been brought inside of a number of these coaching organizations, franchising organizations included, to help them train their newest people on how to get off to a successful start. Now, it's not magic and it's not hard. And in fact, it's so rewarding and self-fulfilling that all you need to do is understand what to do and do it, that 10 minutes a day, as I say, and you'll be on the way. So 2 questions for you. And we're such a small, intimate crowd. We don't need a response. I know what your response is going to be, but the 2 questions are, how challenging is it for you to find new leads, opportunities, prospects? And without leaving the presentation to ask you to fill out a questionnaire or a poll, I know it's the number one issue and it's become worse. And there's no signs that it's going to change, but it can change for you. It doesn't have to be your number one issue. And then the answer is, how often do you reach out to people, important people, the connections you have, the relationships that you have, and talk with them about things that aren't work related, that aren't related to the service you provide, to the technology you deliver, to the consulting that you provide or the coaching that you provide? How often do you reach out to them and talk to them about their family, their hobbies, their vacation trips, the foods they like, or anything else that you learn about them? What typically comes back, and I've conducted this survey in large audiences, about 75% of the responses say occasionally or never. And for those 75%, they're leaving opportunity on the table. They're missing out. Let me show you why. Well, here, I forgot I had these charts in there. In the surveys that have come in, finding new business is challenging for almost 40% of the people and very challenging for another 8 or 9%. So more than half find it challenging. And I think some people fall into the challenging level and called it, responded neutral, meaning, maybe, maybe not. Roughly 80% in total find it challenging. And almost no one reaches out on the appropriate schedule to build relationships. This is actual empirical data from surveys that I've taken. So the number one problem everywhere is I need more clients. Finding good leads is hard. People don't respond to my marketing messages, to my emails, to my invitations to webinars or masterminds or whatever you're doing. And it often results in you having no sales pipeline, not knowing where your next client is going to come from. Well, I want to tell you right now, following what you're going to learn today, you can not only build a pipeline, but in some of your specific professions, and I've researched you, as I said earlier, you can actually create a waiting list where people are lined up waiting for the time when you have time available on your calendar to work with you. This is especially true in the financial services, in the accounting, finance, and HR services worlds. Let's talk about why this problem of finding new business and creating an effective, healthy pipeline is so significant. The number one element is there's so much noise in our lives today. Everybody's screaming, and as I like to say, everybody's pushing their messages, but nobody's listening to them. I probably deleted 50 to 60 emails already today. I don't know what spam was filtered out because I don't check that anyways. But because of all the noise and the changes in how the online world exists in our life, we've done things to shut off the outside. We've turned everything off. And it's the only way we can get the work done that we need to get done or serve the clients that we do have. And in many cases, we've built barricades or fences, as I like to call it, to keep out the noise. And that's the environment in which you're working. You're seeking to have a conversation with the majority of people who are blocking out having conversations. And now you have to get past that wall, that barricade. And nothing works like it used to work. I remember the days I could send out direct mail. You may remember that. It came in your mailbox at home. And I'd invite someone to come to a workshop. And as a result, a fair number of people would respond. Well, that changed. That evolved because there was so much coming into one's mailbox that the junk mail was sorted out from the important mail when people stand over their trash cans. And I don't know if you do that, but here in my house, the recycle bin is right next to the mailbox. And probably 70% of the mail never makes it through the door from the mail slot and gets past that recycle bin. That's filter, that's a wall. Okay, so given the circumstances, none of this is really your fault. It's the life we're in. It's the stage of our economy or culture. But the question still is, how do you make yourself look differently? How do you get to stand out from the noise and get more business? And I'm going to take you into exactly what it requires. First of all, since you're all professionals and in the professional services categories, I want you to know that 2/3 of new clients, new customers, new subscribers, new business already comes with the recommendation or referral of someone in your world. It's already done that way. The question is, where are you focusing your time? Are you focusing it on social media, trying to get more people to respond to a post or something you put in LinkedIn or whatever, an event you have coming up? Are you using some of the more traditional tools where you're spending your money isn't where the results come from? The most abundant results come from referrals, and referrals come from building trusted relationships in a systematic way. Let's talk about what that systematic way looks like. When I speak of the power of a referral, what I'm really describing is something that has already been cemented as the most valuable way to win new business, especially as a coach or a consultant. Why? Well, referred people who get referred to you by someone who has a relationship with you, already know you for the trust that was given to you when that introduction was made. Therefore, they come in the door with a receptive attitude, or you go in their door with a receptive attitude on the part, because trust does transfer. Trust is assignable. And when you build a relationship and someone introduces you to someone they believe you should meet and help, then you go in the door with that trust ticket in hand, and 400% greater likelihood of closing a new sale exists versus all other marketing mechanisms. 4 times. Referred people also refer. A referred client gives referrals, and the psychological reason is because it reinforces their great decision to buy from you in the first place. We all want to be considered wise. Well, one of the ways I get reinforced in my, if you say, wisdom, is when I reinforce that I worked with Charlie. I made a good decision to work with Charlie. You should work with Charlie. So that self-fulfilling affirmation is important and causes referrers to refer. Now, there's more. Referrals have higher retention. They're less expensive to acquire. I'm not big on paying for referrals. That's about as far away as I get, because I want people to want to introduce me and create reciprocity in the process. And as a result of all this, because they last longer, they stay longer, they have much greater client value. I have one client here in Southern California, where I'm based, who, when he applied these principles in the financial services industry, he learned what he was supposed to do. It resulted in him growing his assets under management. They call it AUM in that business. AUM simply means the amount of money he's managing for his investor clients. In his case, he grew his AUM $32 million in his first year following what you're about to learn. That $32 million wasn't a sale. That's just money that he manages in the portfolios that are under his direction. But to him, it represents over $250,000 a year in personal income for so long as those people are satisfied and stay with him, and he now knows what to do. So he could have them under management for 25 years. Talk about a high ROI on a little bit of time spent on relationships. Okay, I'm going to show you what produces the results. Some of this will sound familiar, some of this will be new. The relationship cycle is something you've heard before. People want to work with people or associate with people or refer with people who they know, like, and trust. Trust is the next to the last objective. When you build know, like, and trust relationships, people want to hang around with you. They want to associate with you. They want to meet with you. They want to live life with you. You build trust because you give to that other person. When you give and give, trust builds. Now, I'll describe what giving means in a few minutes, but as you give and build trust, you have to complete the cycle, and that is ask people for what it is that you're looking for so that they can give back. There's a powerful human emotion to reciprocate to someone who is kind and giving to you. Now, obviously, you got to be genuine as well, but when they want to reciprocate and you ask, and they can then come back to you with something you're looking for, what happens is you get what you're seeking. They feel good, you feel great, and all of a sudden, the relationship cycle is complete, and it repeats, and it will repeat and repeat and repeat. However, to get the cycle into motion, you've got to have that systematic process. And when you do, get ready. Your coaching business or your professional services business is going to grow to the level that you want it to. I always disavow showing this chart, but I have to do it because it's so powerful. This is a chart that portrays the results of a year after year research survey done by a firm in Toronto, speaking about clients of a particular provider and whether or not those clients have given referrals. Only pay attention to the things you see highlighted in yellow. Specifically, if you have a highly engaged relationship, that's called otherwise a give and give relationship to a core number of people, clients or referral prospects, referral partners, there is a 100% incidence of that audience referring opportunities to you. Anything less than highly engaged. Now, highly engaged means in touch once every 2 weeks, talking with them about their interests, not about buy my product, but their interests. 100%. Anything less than highly engaged, that moves from the right-hand column in this chart towards the left. Anything less than once every 2 weeks, the incidence of introducing you, or in this case, these respondents, falls to 0% or 7% or 3%, as you can quickly see. The point I'm making is it's as we say in technology, it's binary. It's either producing 100% or it's not producing at all. If you're not engaged once every 2 weeks, you're out in the noise of everyone else in the marketplace, and you're going to get overwhelmed as people respond to all the noise, and you'll be forgotten. I speak of engagement. It's why we call ourselves Engage Pro. Engagement is the trust building crown of what makes this work. Being in a highly engaged relationship, and you'll hear me say this several times today, means in touch every 2 weeks with people about them. Now, why does engagement work? because it conveys your character. And it takes two elements for you to become someone who is trustworthy, credible. One is you got to show you've got the character of someone I would want to associate with, be with, refer, bring into my inner circle, introduce to my clients, whatever. And character is made up of many things that you've already read ahead and described, but it's the core of who we all are. As you give to people, you're showing your character. You're showing that you care, your other-centeredness. The other factor is your competence. We want to work with people who are both of great character and capable. And your competence will be illustrated by your background, your experience, your skills, your training, your education. All of these together create the whole you. Now, you could have a PhD in finance and be one with questionable character, or you could be a heart surgeon. And I have the perfect example where I had LASIK surgery and I didn't go back for my touch-up work because my ophthalmologist ended up getting arrested for tax deduction. His skills were good. He had a beautiful business, but he didn't pay his taxes. And when he got out of his prison sentence for tax evasion, I was off to a different provider because I didn't know if his character was going to affect my next eyeball tune-up. You got to have them both together, and engagement in the right way, connected character and competence work together. Okay, going back to this cycle, I'm going to show you how you get to this cycle, how it works. And it's a system, it's a process. It's easy to do. You don't have to go and learn a new language or become a software coder. It's give and give and give, and people begin to know, like, and trust you, as that previous illustration showed. However, now you have to move to the point of teaching people how to reciprocate, what it is that would make the ideal referral for you. And stay tuned. In one of the future workshops that Sam and I bring forward, we're going to talk about how to teach people to respond to you in exactly the way that produces the result you're seeking. That workshop will be called The Art of Asking. So stay tuned. It's one of my most popular trainings that we provide, and it'll be right here in Coach Engage. Okay, so you teach, and then when you teach, you receive. Give, build trust, show people how they can respond back to you. They're wanting to reciprocate. They're wanting that endorphin release that comes by doing something kind for you. And now the win-win happens when they respond to you and you gain as well. Now, the focus on giving and the focus on being a giver has another purpose, and that is to create what I call TOMA, top of mind awareness. You know, we've talked about the mechanics of the relationship cycle and the law of reciprocity. Now, we want to create that relationship where we are always the first ones who come to mind when someone we're building a relationship with finds or thinks of someone they know who could use us. We want them to always think of us and turn on that reciprocal drive and reach out and get in touch with us the way that we teach them to do that. And when we talk about giving, I want to just reemphasize, talking about personal contact, not send out newsletters, not send out things that come out of your company that you might call the weekly best practices or the portfolio results. That's not it. You got to do that. That's required. But you've got to add to it something about their interests And that's where it becomes personal. Okay, so the goal is for you to be the one who gets viewed as other focused, as the person to hang around with, as the center of influence, as the ones I want to have inside of my relationship circle. And you're doing this to illustrate your character and competence. When you do that all together, TOMA is the result. Now, I've made up this acronym, top of mind awareness. Maybe someone did before me, I don't know. But I started a consulting practice, a business coaching practice in 2010 in a brand new city where I didn't know a single business person, not one. My wife and I moved from San Diego to Boise, Idaho, brand new. First month there. Okay, I want to start a coaching practice. Went to the Chamber of Commerce thinking, well, that's where you start. I did all the things you shouldn't do. Buy a list, send out an email invitation to a conference at a hotel. No one showed up. Wasted over $20,000 in marketing. I said to myself, Tom, you know how this works. It's relational. Turned myself inside out on the marketing, stopped the spending, went out and started building personal relationships. In 18 months, I had 31 paying clients, coaching clients, paying me a monthly retainer to participate in what I was bringing to them. I became one of the most well-known coaches in that market back in that day by simply doing what I've been describing here. Now, what I'm going to do is to show you an illustration of the steps about how you give. And when you see this, I want you to think of yourself as that person standing in the middle of that circle of people. You're the one dressed in red today. Okay. And around you is a small group of people who you're working to build a trusted relationship with. And it goes like this. Once every 2 weeks, you're going to reach out to those individuals, and we urge you to only focus on 15 to 25 people. You do not need 500 people in a mailing list to go build a referral relationship with. I'll come back to that after making the point of this slide. And the point of this slide is you're going to reach out once every 2 weeks. As you can see, those different incidences there, email and a personal note, phone call, drop by. You could add text message for today's style. Once you reach out after an interval of the third or fourth contact, it's time to ask for an introduction. Now, you don't stop there. You keep building the relationship, and then you ask again after another sequence of getting in touch activities. This is a systematic, repeatable process. The results of following this process with, let's just say 20 people, should be 8 to 10 brand new, first quality, high level introductions every day. I'm sorry, every month. What could you do if 10 people had their doors open to you and the red carpet rolled out because somebody dressed in blue on this screen said to them, you need to meet Charlie. He's solved this problem for me, and I know he can help you here. Let me go back and talk about the number 20. It's sort of a magic number. The reason I set it at 20 is because if 20 people all know 25 people, you don't need a calculator to recognize that those 20 people collectively could introduce you to potentially 500 prospective needer users, clients, whatever you call them in your field. If you could get 6 to 8 or 10 a month coming into the top of your funnel, where they have come in with the trust card in hand that's been passed to you, could you use 2 or 3? Could you see 2 or 3 a month converting into clients? Well, I can, because I've seen that happen for hundreds and hundreds of people. One of my favorite stories is what's called a fractional CFO. This gentleman had no clients, 0, brand new. Frustrated, been looking for clients for 3 or 4 months, and didn't know the first thing about relationship marketing, didn't know the first thing about sales. So he came into my office and I said, well, will you follow the process? And, by then I could have asked for anything and he would have said yes. Well, we started down a road teaching him exactly what you're learning here. By the time the first 60 days were passed, he had his first paying client. Over the next 5 months, he had 6 more paying clients. When he ended the year, about 9 months in, his calendar as a fractional CFO was totally filled. He had no time left to sell. He, in fact, built a waiting list for people who would wait for him because he had so many people handing him the trust card in the introductions that he was making. The system works. You do not need more than 20 people at the beginning. You might add more later. Don't get me wrong. There's more detail we could go into, but you might add more later for the reason that you've added more staff. But the danger exists that if you get too many people, what you're going to find is you'll start skipping the steps, and pretty soon you'll go back to your old habits and lose the engagement level that's needed with the high priority inside referral sources that you've been nurturing and building. Okay. The goal is to let relationships fill your sales pipeline. And when you work with a small group of people, you'll find that down as you progress through the pipeline, closing a referred sale lead or turning a referred sales lead where your service and their needs match happens easily. People buy because they want to buy. They commit because they want to be a part of this process. This is an amazing process in many industries. I think about the insurance and the benefits advisory marketplace. Why does it work so well there? Well, number one, because people don't do it. So someone who does stands out from their competitors. But number two, and this is an important point, in so many places where you're selling into a company, there's a barricade or a gatekeeper put in place to keep you out. You could call them the people who are screening the people who might want to come in. But if what you're bringing in is going to create work for someone, like often happens in the benefits administration world, you're going to turn the HR department in a new direction, so they're going to resist the added work at the outset. You have to get past that mental mindset, that barricade, by working on building trust, and maybe building trust with the decision maker, because when you do, it gets past the obstacles that naturally get thrown on your way as you're trying to break in. I can talk more about that with people when we open up for questions. Okay, so getting started, you need to talk to a few people in open conversations because you want to get to the people that they know. You'll never get to them directly because of all the noise that's in their lives, but they do listen to each other and to the people they're in relationships with. Who does it work for? Well, my number one responding market for this type of approach was the coaches and consulting marketplace, because they're selling an intangible. They're selling a hoped for solution that would come to whomever they were seeking to advise. And it has to be a purchase one makes based on trust, based on the confidence that you have in the character and competence of the advisor, the coach, the consultant. And if you look at the other types of professionals in there, trust plays a role in all of their businesses. Why does it work? I'll be redundant. Trust plays a role in all of the things that they do. So as I'm getting ready to wrap up, this isn't something that's new or unproven or just come out. This is something that works in the marketplace. It works just as effectively in the nonprofit world, in the world of ministries looking to raise money to fulfill their purpose. It works across cultures. It works across color lines. It works across countries and geographic lines. It works anywhere where relationships matter. So I'm going to bring this to a close because I've only given you the top level today in this workshop. As I said, there's a lot more and there's some very practical steps. But what we'd like to do is to pause this right now and open up for questions. And Sam, I appreciate you giving me the time to deliver this today.
Tom, oh my goodness, I could listen to you. You could teach me all day for what I get to learn. And I honestly, I'm speechless all the time. I'm speechless. And I will open it up for questions in a moment. I just want to say that, yes, we'll see you, I think in another couple of weeks, you're doing the next session. And for those of you that are here, Tom and I, Tom, me and Joe from Coach Engage, and we're presenting this in Coach Connect Hub for Alignable, the group that I lead, because I reach out to professionals like Tom and say, hey, coaches need your information. And Joe and I are excited because we get to collaborate with Tom. Tom and Joe and I met on Alignable, and it was serendipitous, Coach Engage and Engage Pro. So we are happy about our partnership with Tom. So thank you so much for being here today, Tom. And we will go to the Q&A.